Welcome to the Musical Museum of Deansboro. I'm Art Sanders. We're going to show you some of these weird and wonderful instruments which we collected and repaired as a family hobby over the past 50 years. Some of these things you may already understand, but we hope you will enjoy all of them. Over 300 years ago, French and Swiss clockmakers experimented with wind-up toys, and some of these things were really fantastic. This is a bird cage, gilded bird cage, with two birds on a twig and two little babies in the nest crying for food. The machinery inside is fantastic. It starts off with a clockwork motor, and there's a bellows to blow the whistle. And if you have a watchmaker into this, he merely makes it smaller. That same machinery can be used to do a whistling figure. This is a paper roll organ made in Boston, Massachusetts in 1860. There's a big harmonica. And there's an air pump to blow it. This sold for $3 with a roll. Everybody could buy one. And you don't have to practice. This one is a little more complicated. This was made by the Ithaca calendar clock inventor, Mr. H.B. Horton. This uses the same principle which worked his dials on his clock. This one is a little bigger. This was made by the Needham Sewing Machine Company. Three or 400 years ago, one of the favorite pastimes of the nobility was to try to teach birds to sing a song. This is a little barrel organ which was made for that purpose. These little pegs in the barrel here open the valves to let the air into the pipes. This is a very compact little pipe organ, complete with a bellows and pipes all over it. This was made by Molinari and Sons in Brooklyn in 1898 for use with a monkey on the street corner of New York. The Swiss watchmakers were famous for their intricate watches and clocks. This music box was made in 1878 by a group of Swiss watchmakers. It starts with a spring-wound motor which runs a little governor which allows this cylinder to turn very slowly. The pegs in the cylinder strum these little tuned bars to make the music, and these 6 prongs on the end work these little birds which strike the bells. If the dials are in tune with the music, it's purely accidental. Another idea was to punch holes in a metal plate which made bumps on the back, and those bumps do the same action as the pins on the cylinder machine of the Swiss music box. This was made in Germany about 1900. You wind it this way. This is a larger disc music box made by the Regina Company of Rahway, New Jersey for use in the home. I can select one of 12 discs on this machine. The musical prongs are here. The Regina Music Box Company also made vacuum cleaners. This is one of their early vacuum cleaners. You had a small boy to pump it, and then Mom goes around and cleans up the rug. This Welty piano, made in Germany in 1904, is an amazing machine which will recreate a performance with all the expression that Eugene Dalbert used in 1905 when he originally played this piece. The Swiss cylinder music boxes come in all sizes from a ½ inch square to 4 feet long, like this monster. This music box came from a local ice cream parlor. It uses a 27-inch diameter disc. This lovely pine case pipe organ was made by the Andrews Company of Waterville, New York in 1830. The Andrews Company later went on to Utica and became world famous for their large pipe organs. This is an SD folding field organ. They were used by the military and by the Salvation Army. This is an SD reed organ, parlor reed organ, made around 1880 in Brattleboro, Vermont. This is a large Este reed organ, which was meant to replace the more expensive pipe organ for churches. This has 10 sets of reeds. The pipes do not speak. There are foot pedals, but someone had to supply the air for the organ. For those who don't want to learn where to put each finger, this is a player reed organ. This is one of the largest vocalion organs ever made, with some 22 stops. It works with pressurized reeds, and there is an air blower which provides the air to blow the various notes. This is the sort of machinery that's inside a player piano. There's your music roll, and over here is the air motor, which actually turns the music roll in the machine. going into Morgan's Bar, where we have a small collection of authentic instruments which will give us an authentic Roaring Twenties sound. Most of these early coin-operated player pianos were used for music in dance halls and bar rooms, but some were used as music for the early silent movies, which were called Nickelodeons. Why don't we watch a silent movie while this machine plays? This is yesterday's jukebox. This is a small machine made by the J.P. Seberg Company of Chicago about 1910, and it would have been the perfect machine for a small ice cream parlor. This is a small Seberg orchestrion of about 1916. On top is a bandstand which provided a small amount of action for the music. This wonderful machine is technically known as a Seberg KT Special of about 1918. There are drums, timpani drums, as well as the cymbal, the triangle, Indian block, castanets, tambourine, snare drum, and a piano, and a mandolin effect, and a xylophone in the bottom. expression in the 1920s, "Gee, Dad, it's a Wurlitzer," originated with machines of this sort. Here is a ton of musical machinery made by Wurlitzer. This will pick up a roll, start it going, This is a Koinola orchestrion, a true orchestrion with some 12 different musical effects. This was made around 1922. Here we have a Link orchestrion made in Binghamton, New York. Ed Link, who was the son of the founder of this factory, developed the Link trainer by mounting an airplane cockpit on 4 large organ bellows. This is a smaller example of the Link factory in Binghamton. This one uses the famous Link endless roll. There's 15 tunes on that paper, all wadded up in there. This is a street piano for street use outdoors, made in Spain. And of course it has Spanish songs on it. Let's see what the insides look like here. Now you remember the barrel organ, the monkey organ, and the other barrel organs in the other room. This one is a much larger one. This thing is almost 5 feet across, and it has thousands of pegs in that cylinder. This is a German barrel organ made in Bohemia about 1880. And there are 97 organ pipes fitted in there. It duplicates what we used to call a little German band. The fantastic orchestrope machines were made around 1925 to 1930. This is one of those complicated affairs. It plays the record, turns it over, puts it on the bottom of a pile of 36 records so that the next one can be played. This was used in a tea room in 1928. You will notice the machine is bringing a record over while it's bringing the previous record down into the part to tip it over. It'll slide along under the phonograph over to the pile on the other side. Now it brings the carriage back, drops the needle, and we hear the music. These are some of the grind organs which you will find in our grind organ hallway. There are 12 on this shelf and about 15 in the showcases. Actually, there are some 50 different models of these things, popular between 1860 and about 1880. They were really not toys. They were used for hymn singing and dancing in the home in the evening by people who couldn't play an instrument. Everyone knows how difficult it is to play a violin. Here is a machine which will play two violins, two real violins, and there's a real piano in the background. This amazing machine is all electrical with magnets and solenoids. It was invented in 1912 and actually was made as one of the U.S. government's 8 greatest inventions of the decade for the Alaska Yukon Pacific Exposition.